Geralt of Rivia often remarks that he has no emotions owing to his Witcher mutagens. It's interesting then that this ashen-haired Witcher has some of the most striking emotional depth of any video game protagonist. In 2018, Games Radar labelled him one of the top 10 best heroes in video game history, whilst Tom's Guide considered him in the top 25. But I think that the sales of this game speak for itself. Over 40 million copies had been sold by the summer of 2019 alone. Geralt of Rivia is someone with whom we can empathise. Unlike the leading characters in many other RPGs, Skyrim, Horizon Zero Dawn, Dragon Age, the protagonist of the Witcher games is not flawless or overpowered. Although he has enhanced reactions, strength, and a host of other useful skills, his abilities pale in comparison to the likes of Gaunter O'Dim or Vilgefortz. In short, Geralt of Rivia is vulnerable. He's not able to fix the world's problems. In The Witcher 3, we not only share in his victories, but his defeats too. And it is these defeats that shape Geralt's pessimistic outlook. The Witcher is often faced with impossible decisions. In the Whispering Hillock, he must choose whether to free or kill the malevolent tree spirit, which dubiously claims that if freed it will save the children of Crookback Bog. If Geralt does free the spirit, then the children are saved, but as an act of revenge for its imprisonment, it murders a dozen peasants. The children's theft also leads to the deaths of Anna and Philip Strenger. Comparatively, if the spirit is killed by the Witcher, then the children are eaten, but Philip, Anna, and the peasants survive. Geralt's inability to both save the children as well as Philip and Anna epitomizes the ethos of the world that the Witcher inhabits. Monsters slaughter innocents, armies steal food from starving children, and deviants are burnt at the stake out of fear. Fair is not the word we use to describe the world of The Witcher 3. It's no surprise then that Geralt's horizons are curtailed. He knows better than anyone that he's in no position to save the world.
If I'm to choose between a greater and lesser evil, I'd rather not choose at all.
That's why he faces the Wild Hunt, not because he wants to make the world a better place, but because of a simple desire to protect his adoptive daughter. And yet, Geralt's defeats in quests such as the Whispering Hillock, as crushing as they are ultimately not fatal to his sense of humanity. The Witcher attempts to convince others, and also secretly himself, that he has no emotions. Maybe this is an attempt to safeguard himself from getting too invested in a world he knows to be brutal, but ultimately Geralt does care, and it's the fact that he cares despite the odds stacked against him that make us admire him so much. The Witcher doesn't want to save the world, but in acting altruistically in small ways, he's able to make the world a better place. I recently played Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. Whilst I found the game decent overall, one thing that bothered me was the protagonist, Aloy, because she was unambiguous. In no uncertain terms, she is a hero, able and willing to save the world. We are told as much by herself as well as others. I bring in Aloy to demonstrate that the much more nuanced characterization of Geralt matters. The crux of this comes down to the age-old principle of showing, not telling. In The Witcher, we are told that Geralt is indifferent and uninterested in the world's affairs, but we are shown that Geralt has a good heart, and that although he doesn't set out to change the world, he does good in small ways that change the course of history. This highlights another area of Geralt's strength as a character, his inner complexity, and in particular the tension between his cynicism on the one hand and his empathy on the other. In many ways, Arthur Morgan demonstrates a similar inner tension. Akin to Geralt, Arthur Morgan is outwardly uncaring about what he and Dutch believe to be the corrupted outside world. Arthur's chief concern for most of the game is for the gang, for which he is willing to rob, kill and steal. Arthur demonstrates time and time again his belief that his life and the lives of his gang members outweigh the lives of any others. But when faced with his own mortality, as well as Dutch's decline into madness, he comes to see that the gang are not honourable thieves, merely bandits, lying to themselves to justify their existence. It's from there on that Arthur's compassion and selflessness come to light, especially in his sacrifice to save John Marston and his family. Arthur is no saint, but his actions prove that he has a conscience. By the end of the game, he no longer believes that the lives of he and his fellow gang members are worth so much blood. It is that inner ambiguity that makes Geralt and Arthur human and thus relatable. In the real world, no one is perfect. No one is as altruistic as Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn, who's willing to sacrifice herself at a moment's notice. Geralt's harsh experiences fuel a pessimism that hold he cannot save everyone, but by helping others when it matters to him most, such as protecting Ciri, he's ultimately able to make the world a better place. There is a reason that the ending scene of Blood and Wine is so emotional. We've journeyed with a man who, despite all his depressing experiences, did everything in his power to protect those he cared about. Geralt of Rivia might not have set out on a mission to become a hero and save the world, but helping Ciri out of a bond of love, he ended up doing just that.
We have witnessed, and in fact on several occasions incited, many great and weighty events. After all that toil, I believe we deserve a bit of a rest.
That we do.